The alarms inside Sing Sing prison were screaming so loud the walls shook. Flashing red lights covered the hallway as guards ran in every direction. And right there, in the middle of the chaos, an inmate named Reese Carter stood barefoot on the cold floor, staring at the steel bars that had somehow unlocked themselves. He had blood on his shirt. His hands were shaking. Every prisoner on the block was yelling, banging their steel doors, thinking a breakout was happening. But Reese? He wasn't thinking about escaping. He was thinking about what he had just seen, something no one would ever believe. A guard lay face down inside the cell Reese shared with another inmate, a man who had vanished just seconds before the alarm started. How does a full-grown man disappear inside a maximum security prison built of concrete and steel? And if he didn't escape, then where did he go? That's a question that changed everything. Now let's go back to where it all started. Before the alarms, before the vanishing inmate, before the chaos, Reese Carter was just another scared newcomer stepping off a prison bus and walking through the old brick gates of Sing Sing Correctional Facility in New York. The place looked like a giant metal monster. Tall gray towers, razor wire curling like angry snakes, and guards who didn't smile, not even once. "Keep your eyes down," another inmate whispered as they walked. "Sing Sing eats people alive." Reese didn't understand what that meant yet, but he would soon. Inside, the echo of steel doors closing felt like the world locking away hope. The hallway smelled like sweat, bleach, and something else, something old and unhappy. Still, Reese kept telling himself, survive, one day at a time. He tried to keep a low profile. He tried not to make enemies. He tried to follow the rules. But in Sing Sing, trouble wasn't something you found. It found you. Reese was placed in cell 14B with a quiet inmate named Marcus Hale. Marcus didn't talk much, but when he did, his voice was low and slow. "Strange things happen here at night," Marcus whispered on Reese's first day. Reese thought it was a joke, until the nights came. Every night around 2 a.m., the lights flickered, the halls went silent, and cold air moved through the block, even though the windows were sealed shut. Sometimes Reese woke up and found Marcus sitting on the floor, staring at the door like he was waiting for someone, or something. Still, these were just weird moments. Not dangerous. Not yet. One evening during dinner, Reese reached for a piece of bread, and so did another inmate named Toro, a huge guy known for breaking noses just for fun. Their hands touched. Toro glared. Reese froze. The whole cafeteria went quiet. But then Marcus stepped in between them, staring at Toro without blinking. Something about Marcus made Toro back away. Next time, Toro growled. This was a small thing, a less extreme moment, but it was a warning. In Sing Sing, small things can turn deadly fast. And Reese had no idea that this tiny clash was about to lead to something much, much bigger. That night, Reese woke up to the lights flickering again. The air was freezing. And Marcus wasn't in his bed. Reese whispered, "Marcus, where are you?" Then he heard footsteps, but not from outside the cell, from inside. Before Reese could move, a guard rushed to the door with his flashlight, and what Reese saw next would change the entire prison forever. The guard collapsed inside their cell, and Marcus Hale, Reese's quiet cellmate, was nowhere to be found. A full-grown man had vanished inside a locked steel box. The sirens exploded a second later. This is where the real nightmare began. The sirens kept screaming. Red lights flashed like fire. Reese presses back against the wall, staring at the empty space where Marcus should have been. A guard lay on the floor of the cell, breathing but unconscious. Other inmates shouted from their cells. "What happened? Is that blood? Where's Marcus?" Reese didn't answer. He couldn't. His heart felt like it was trying to break out of his chest. How does someone disappear inside Sing Sing, a prison built to stop even insect from escaping? Before Reese could think more, officers in heavy black gears stormed the hallway. "Hands up! Step away from the body," one yelled. Reese obeyed, shaking. But deep down, he knew something terrifying. Marcus didn't break out. Marcus didn't get taken. Marcus simply vanished. Hours later, Reese sat in a cold room with two detectives staring at him like he was a ticking bomb. "Tell us what you saw," Detective Harris said. Reese explained everything. The flickering lights, the cold air, the guard falling, Marcus disappearing. Harris raised an eyebrow. People don't vanish, Carter. I know what I saw, Reese whispered. The second detective leaned closer. Did Marcus have enemies? Did you have enemies? Reese swallowed hard. Toro. He remembered the cafeteria warning. But this wasn't Toro's style. Toro didn't make people disappear. He broke them, loudly. Still, Reese didn't mention him. He didn't trust anyone here. When the detectives realized Reese wasn't changing his story, they ended the session. "Watch your back," Harris said while leaving. "Things like this, they don't just happen." Reese didn't like the sound of that. When Reese returned to his cell block, everything felt different. Inmates stared at him like he carried a curse. Some whispered, "That's a guy whose cellmate disappeared." Sing Sing is haunted, man. His next. Just watch. Reese ignored them and stepped into his cell. The floor was still stained from the guard's fall. That's when he noticed something strange. Marcus's blanket was still warm, as if he had been there just moments ago. Reese backed away. His skin crawled. Later that day, during rec time, Reese walked the yard alone. Toro approached him slowly, cracking his knuckles. "Heard your roommate went poof," Toro said with a smirk. "Funny, people around you keep getting hurt." Reese tried to stay calm. "I didn't do anything." Toro stepped closer. "Yeah? Well, accidents happen in Sing Sing, especially to people who lie." Before Toro could say more, a guard blew a whistle. "Toro, move!" Toro walked away, but not before pointing 2 fingers at Reese's chest. That was a less extreme moment, a warning, a quiet threat. But what happened next was far worse. That night, the lights flickered again. Reese froze. Cold air filled the block just like before. Whispers floated down the hallway, but no one was speaking. Then, a thud. Reese looked at his cell door. Someone, or something, had written on it. The words were scratched deep into the steel, like with a knife or nails. "He's not gone." Reese stumbled backward, breathing fast, because underneath those words was a name, Reese Carter. And below that, a fresh handprint made of something dark, something that looked like dried blood. The whole block went silent. That's when Reese realized whatever happened to Marcus was coming for him next. Reese stared at the message on his steel door. "He's not gone." Reese Carter. The dried handprint under his name looked fresh enough to still smell metallic. His legs felt weak. His throat felt tight. Across the block, inmates whispered through their doors. That wasn't there 5 minutes ago. How did someone write on the outside of his cell? No guards walked by. What kind of thing can do that? Reese didn't sleep that night. He sat on his bunk with his knees pulled close, watching the door, waiting for something, anything, to move. But nothing happened. The message just sat there, staring at him. By sunrise, the guards finally noticed the writing. 3 officers rushed to the cell. "Who did this?" "Carter, you carving messages out here. Explain this." "I didn't." Reese shouted. "I was inside the whole night." One officer tested the scratch letters with his glove. Whatever made these marks wasn't a normal tool. The guards looked nervous, something they never showed in front of inmates. Reese told them about the cold air, the flickering lights, the nights Marcus acted strange. But the guards didn't believe him. "We'll review the cameras," one said. But even he sounded unsure, because everyone in Sing Sing knew the truth. The cameras in Reese's block often glitched at night. Later that afternoon, Reese was called into the security office. Detective Harris was there again, arms crossed. The camera footage was paused on the screen. "Look at this," Harris said. The video showed Reese's cell door at midnight. Everything was normal. Then, static. A long burst of nothing but white noise. When the footage came back, the message was already carved into the steel. Who was outside during the glitch? Reese asked. "That's the thing," Harris said. "No one. Not a single officer or inmate walked on that floor for the whole hour." Reese felt sick. Harris leaned in. "If you're hiding something, now is the time to talk." Reese shook his head. "I'm telling you, Marcus didn't just disappear. Something happened to him, and now it's coming back. Harris didn't say he believed him, but he also didn't say he didn't. Back in the yard, a quiet inmate named Elias Boone approached Reese. Elias was older, thin, pale, always reading. Most inmates ignored him, but today he walked straight up to Reese. "I heard about your message," Elias said softly. "You should listen carefully now." Reese frowned. "Why?" Elias looked around, making sure no guards were close. Marcus Hale wasn't just any inmate. He was part of something before he came here. Something he never talked about. Reese felt chills. What kind of something? Elias lowered his voice. He believed this prison is wrong, built on top of things that were never meant to be found. Reese stared at him. "This is a prison, not a ghost house." Elias didn't blink. "You'll see soon." Then Elias walked away like nothing happened. Reese wanted to ignore him. He wanted to forget everything. But deep inside, he knew Elias was right. Something about Sing Sing was not normal. That night, Reese sat awake again, staring at the door. The lights flickered. Cold air moved through the cell. The same unnatural silence filled the block. Then, a soft knock, not on the door, from inside the wall. Reese froze. Another knock, then another, closer, louder, like someone was stuck inside the concrete. Reese backed into the corner, shaking. A crack formed in the wall, just a thin line. And then he heard it. A whisper, a voice he recognized. Marcus Hale's voice. "Reese, help me." Reese's eyes widened, because Marcus was supposed to be gone, but now he was whispering from inside the wall. Reese presses back into the opposite corner of the cell, staring at the thin crack running down the wall. The whisper came again, softer this time. "Reese, please, help me." It was Marcus. It had to be Marcus. But how? Marcus disappeared in the middle of a locked steel cell. No doors opened. No guards took him. He simply vanished. Now his voice was coming from inside solid concrete. Reese's hand shook. His heartbeat felt like it was slamming against his ribs. "Marcus," he whispered, "if that's really you, where are you?" But the whisper didn't answer. Instead, the crack in the wall closed, just a tiny shift in the concrete, as if the building itself was breathing. Then silence, pure, heavy silence. Reese sat there until morning, unable to sleep, unable to move, replaying Marcus's voice over and over in his mind. The next day, Reese told a guard named Officer Bryant, one of the few guards who wasn't cruel. Bryant raised an eyebrow. "You heard, Marcus?" From a wall. Reese nodded quickly. "I know how it sounds, but I'm not lying." Bryant sighed. "Look, Carter, Sing Sing is loud. Pipes bang. Air vents make noises. Your mind is stressed after what happened. Don't let this place trick you." "So you don't believe me?" Reese said quietly. Bryant didn't answer. He didn't have to. Reese felt a painful truth settle in. Nobody would believe him. Not the guards. Not the detectives. Not the inmates. He was alone. During afternoon yard time, Elias Boone found Reese again, like he had been waiting for him. "You heard him, didn't you?" Elias asked. Reese didn't even try to lie. "Yes, in the wall." Elias nodded slowly, like this confirmed something he already suspected. "There are spaces inside Sing Sing," Elias whispered. "Old tunnels, rooms that were boarded up, parts of the building nobody uses anymore." Reese leaned closer. "Are you saying Marcus is trapped somewhere?" "Maybe," Elias said. "Or maybe something that used to be down there found him." Reese swallowed hard. "What do you mean, something?" Elias looked away. "The prison is old. Older than most people know. They built it on top of the ruins of a place even darker." Reese wanted to ask more, but Elias suddenly walked off, ending the conversation. It wasn't an extreme moment, but it made the air feel colder. That evening, Reese tried to act normal. He went to dinner. He kept to himself. Even Toro didn't bother him that night. But inside, his mind was racing. Why did Marcus whisper his name? Was he alive? Was he trapped? Was someone, or something, holding him? Reese didn't have answers. Only fear. and fear followed him back to his cell like a shadow. Reese sat on his bunk, staring at the wall, waiting to hear the voice again. But the night stayed quiet. Too quiet. Around 3 a.m., Reese finally lay down. His eyes were closing when, scrap, a slow scratching sound came from beneath his bunk. Reese froze. "Marcus," he whispered. No answer. He slowly leaned over the side of the bed, and that's when a hand shot out from underneath, pale, filthy, trembling, grabbing Reese's ankle with cold fingers. Reese screamed and kicked backward, falling off the bed. The hand disappeared instantly, sliding back under the frame like it was being pulled away by force. Reese crawled to the far corner, heart exploding in his chest, because he knew that hand. He had seen it every day. It was Marcus Hale's hand. Reese's breath came in sharp gasps. His ankle still tingled where the cold fingers grabbed him. He stared under the bunk. Nothing. Empty. But the hand he saw wasn't a dream. It was Marcus's hand, pale, dirty, and shaking like it wanted to claw its way out from somewhere deeper. Reese presses back to the wall, whispering, "Marcus, what happened to you?" No answer. Just the sound of the prison's old pipes groaning, like the building itself was alive. Reese knew one thing. Marcus wasn't dead. He was trapped, somewhere inside Sing Sing. The next morning, as Reese stepped into the hallway, Elias Boone appeared again, this time with urgency in his eyes. "You saw him, didn't you?" Elias whispered. Reese nodded. "His hand. Under my bed. Elias, he's alive." Elias looked around, then pushed a folded scrap of paper into Reese's hand. "This is a map," Elias whispered. "Old passages, old service tunnels, things the prison covered up decades ago." Reese opened it quickly. It showed a network of dark hallways behind the main cell blocks, forgotten rooms from when Sing Sing was first built in the 1800s. "Why give this to me?" Reese asked. "Because Marcus was looking for these tunnels before he vanished," Elias said. "And if he's reaching out to you, it means he's stuck in there." Reese felt fear mixed with determination. He had to go down there. He had to find Marcus. But entering those tunnels wasn't just dangerous. It was suicidal. That afternoon, just when Reese thought he finally had a plan, trouble returned. Toro, the huge inmate, stepped in front of him during yard time, blocking the path. "You've been acting weird, Carter," Toro growled. "Talking to ghosts. Making guards nervous. Bringing heat on the block." Reese swallowed. "I don't want trouble." Toro smirked. "But trouble wants you." Before Reese could react, Toro shoved him hard, right into the concrete wall. Reese hit the ground. Dizzy, Toro leaned over him. "You keep this up," he whispered, "and you won't need a ghost to take you out." A guard blew a whistle. Toro stepped back, pretending nothing happened. This wasn't an extreme moment, but it made everything more dangerous. Reese now had two threats. Whatever was in the tunnels. Oh, and Toro. That night, Reese made his move. Lights out. Block silent. Everyone asleep. He slid the map out from under his mattress and followed it to a rusted metal grate near the showers. He used a bent piece of metal to pry it open. Cold air rushed out, the same cold air he felt every night before the strange events happened. Reese climbed inside. The vent led to a narrow tunnel, dark, damp, smelling like rotten wood and old secrets. The deeper he went, the colder the air became, until he found it. A door. Old. Wooden. Locked with a giant iron bolt. Reese pushed it open with all his strength. Beyond the door was a long hallway. Stone walls. No lights. Just darkness swallowing everything. And then, a voice. Not a whisper. A cry. "Reese! Please!" "Marcus!" His voice echoed like he was shouting from somewhere deep inside the earth. Reese's chest tightened. He stepped forward. That's when he saw it. Dark footprints on the floor. Bare footprints. Leading deeper into the old prison tunnels. Reese followed them, step by step, heart pounding. At the end of the tunnel, Reese reached a huge underground chamber. His breath froze in his throat, because the room was filled with chains hanging from the ceiling. Hundreds of them. Old rusted chains, like the kind used in prisons more than a century ago. But that wasn't the worst part. In the center of the room, Under a dim flickering bulb, someone was tied to a chair, head down, breathing weakly. Reese stepped closer. His voice cracked. "Marcus?" Marcus slowly lifted his head. His face was bruised, his clothes torn, his eyes hollow, but alive. "Reese, get out," Marcus whispered. "They are coming." Reese looked around. "Who's coming?" Marcus shook his head, terrified. "Not who." The chains on the ceiling began to sway, all at once, as if something huge had moved through the darkness. Then a low growl echoed from the shadows behind Reese. Something was in the tunnels with them. Something that did not sound human. Reese turned slowly and saw a tall, dark silhouette stepping out of the shadows. Reese froze. The chain swayed. The growl echoed again, deep, rough, angry. A tall figure stepped out of the darkness. Not a monster, not a ghost. A man wearing an old prison uniform from decades ago, the kind they stopped using in the 1940s. Dirty, torn, covered in dust. His face was half-shadowed, but Reese could see his hollow eyes like he hadn't seen sunlight in years. Marcus whispered, "That's one of them. They were trapped here when the old tunnel collapsed, forgotten by everyone. But they survived, and now they take anyone who finds this place." The man growled again and stepped forward. Reese grabbed a rusty chain from the wall, ready to defend himself, even though his hands were shaking. But then the man stopped. He stared at Reese. His breathing slowed. Then he reached out with a trembling finger and pointed at Marcus, as if to say, "Leave him. He belongs here." Reese gritted his teeth. "No, he's coming with me." Reese rushed behind Marcus's chair and yanked at the ropes. Come on. Marcus winced. "Hurry." The man in the old uniform roared and charged forward. Reese tore the last rope free and grabbed Marcus's arm. "Run." They sprinted out of the chamber just as a man slammed into the wall, chains rattling wildly. Reese and Marcus ran through the tunnels, feet slapping the concrete, hearts pounding like drums. Behind them, the man chased them, his footsteps loud and heavy. Reese followed the map in his mind. Left, right, up the incline. Marcus gasped. "This place, it changes. The whole shift." "I don't care." Reese yelled, "We're getting out." They reached the old wooden door, the one Reese had opened earlier. But something was wrong. The door was closing on its own. Reese shoved Marcus through and leaped after him just as it slammed shut, sealing the tunnels behind them. They lay on the ground, gasping for air. Marcus whispered, "You shouldn't have come for me." Reese smiled weakly. "You were my cellmate. I couldn't leave you." The next morning, officers found Reese and Marcus near the old shower grate, both bruised, both shaking, both covered in dust and old rust. Detective Harris arrived quickly. "What happened?" he asked. Reese told him everything. The tunnels, the hidden rooms, the chain chamber, the old prisoner who chased them. Harris looked pale. "Those tunnels were sealed in the 1950s, he said slowly. "No one has used them in over 60 years. Reese pointed to Marcus, then explained how he got down there. Marcus looked up, voice cracking. "There are people living inside this prison, people left behind when the old section collapsed. They survive by taking anyone who comes close." Harris didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was right in front of him. He called a full team of officers. They opened the tunnels, but the room of chains was empty. No man, no footprints, no signs of life, just cold air and dust. Reese felt a chill. "They're still in there," he whispered, watching. A few days later, Marcus was moved to the infirmary. Reese returned to his cell block, but Sing Sing wasn't done with him yet. Toro confronted him again, furious. "You think you're special now? Everyone's talking about you. The guards, the inmates. You made this block hut." Reese tried to walk past. Toro grabbed his shirt. "I should break you right here." Before Reese could answer, the lights flickered. Cold air swept through the hallway. The same cold air from the tunnels. Every inmate froze. Toro looked around nervously. What was that? A loud metal bang echoed down the hallway. Then another. Then another, like someone pounding the walls from inside. Every prisoner stepped back. Even Toro. Reese stared at the wall, and for a split second, he saw it. A handprint. Fresh. Pressed into the steel. Then fading like smoke. Toro stumbled back, terrified. Reese whispered, "They don't like people threatening me." Toro never bothered him again. Weeks later, Reese and Marcus were placed in safer units. But Reese never forgot the tunnels, the chains, the vanishing, the whispers, the handprints, the man in the old uniform. He learned something important. Sometimes the biggest danger inside Sing Sing is not the prisoners, not the guards, not the gangs. It's the forgotten places, the old stories, the hidden things behind the steel, things that were left in the dark too long, things people pretend never existed. And sometimes those things come back. What really happens inside Sing Sing? More than anyone wants to believe. And Reese Carter survived it. But the echoes in the walls, they never stopped.